that we have chosen to go to. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Please stand with me as we pledge allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Board of Adjustments is a 9-member board. We're appointed by the City Council. We serve on a voluntary basis without compensation. Our procedure for conducting business, I'll call the petitioner's name. If you will, please come to the mic and the podium. Speak clearly so that our recording secretary can pick up on all your comments. Anyone who, you will then make your presentation. Anyone who is interested in or has some opposition to that particular item will be given the opportunity to come forward. Once we receive public testimony on a particular item, the members of the board, we will deliberate and we will render our decision tonight. I'll remind any members with a personal or a financial interest in any particular item, you're required to recuse yourself from voting. Any testimony that is submitted by the petitioner or on behalf of the petitioner during the presentation of the agenda item will be binding as to any decision the board makes relative to the motion. I'll remind any members of the board that if you make a motion to deny an item, a reason must be given. At this time, I'll introduce the members of the board who are here. Ms. K.T. Brown is our Vice Chairman, Mr. Steve Hughes, Mr. Nathan Williams, Mr. Bart Prince, Mr. George Howell, Jr., and I'm John Stanley, your Chairman. Our staff here tonight is James Center and Tanya Ingram. We have 6 here tonight. We may have another show up. It takes 5 votes from this board, not a majority of those present, but it takes 5 votes to approve a motion. If you feel like they may hinder the outcome of your petition, you may recuse or you may delay your item for the next meeting, which is August
20th.
Excuse me?
August 20th.
August, okay. So third Thursday in August. Okay. Any questions? All right. Item number 1 is presented by Jeff Thomas & Sons Construction, representing Joseph and Karandra Brinson, requesting a street side yard variance and a height variance for an existing fence located at 8967 Caraway Lane in a planned unit development zoning district. This request was delayed at our last meeting with instructions from the board for the petitioner to meet with the neighborhood. So what we are considering tonight is a 3-foot height variance and a 30-foot street side yard variance. So, Mr. and Ms. Brinson, if you would like to come forward, and I think we understand the issues. We've seen a lot of material.
Right.
And if you would, tell us what your proposal is, and then I'll give representatives of the HOA to come forward if they're here, and the homeowner behind you will have that opportunity.
Okay.
And we will see what we can do.
Okay.
And please speak. You're going to have to speak clearly and loud in there. The audibility here is not real good.
I'm Quandra. This is Joseph. We're here for the variance, as you said, and we are asking that we have 8 foot and a half in on the rear, 10 and a half foot on the side, because the HOA proposal asked us to remove the jutting point from the fence. So that's what we're asking to for you all to approve the variance for 8 and a half in, 10 and a half on the side. if you, I know I sent a lot of material in, but if you'll look at that last page,
Ms. Brunson, we've got so many pages, I'm not
Last-
sure. what
35.
But we have a redrawing,
uh-huh,
okay, that reflects what you are proposing.
not that one, that's not the one. That's neither one of those. The
Are you
proposed.
referring to the one that you sent me from the builder?
Builder, right.
She's talking about the one from the builder that you questioned me about, you couldn't see the dimension.
Right.
Okay.
Right. We've got that here, okay? And again, you're proposing along the rear line to come from the corner, 8 feet 5 inches
And,
in, and then along Caraway Court, 10 feet 5 inches,
correct,
and creating an angle there,
correct.
okay? All right. Anything else?
No, well, that's all. We're just requesting that variance. We, like I said, we have been trying to work with, our neighbors. We went back and looked at their proposal, and that's what they asked, is to remove the jutting point of the fence. So that's what we did. So we agreed to what they asked us for.
Well, we'll see. All right. Anyone in the audience care to address this item? And I want to ask, I assume that y'all are with the HOA, and then is the property owner here? You're the property owner. Mr. Cho? Right? Okay. All right, sir. We'll need your name and address.
George Chapman. I live at 1249 Chadwick Lane. I represent the Breckenridge HOA Board. We have met with the Brinsons several occasions. We've actually had several Zoom meetings. We've had a in-person meeting, social distancing. I'm glad that they've got some consideration. At least we were at least are heading in the same direction. But what the neighborhood and what the HOA was asking for was a little bit more, and there's a reason why. Because of the amount of area that is covered from the fence violation, that the area they were asking for was we felt was so small that it wouldn't affect the actual issue that we were having. Up there, as you see, the area B, that's the area of which the violation was cited, where their fence encroaches the setback.
The area in yellow.
Area in yellow, correct. And then I believe I went ahead and scaled in from the Brinson's proposal number 1, and that is the 10.5 by 8 foot. And then I scaled in from the HOA neighborhood's proposal was I think that's a 28 by 18.5. And the reason why there's so difference between 1 and 2 was because the fact is the actual violation area, about over 1,100 square feet of their backyard is created by the encroachment of the fence. And I get it. If I have a backyard, I don't want to lose any more than I have to. At the same time is that the fence creates a site problem, especially for Mr. Choi's house. I'm sure you got all the pictures and everything, all the documentation. So the whole idea was the number 2, and again, it's been the original, and the reason why we thought number 2 not just impacted one neighbor, but at the same time would benefit all the neighbors in the cul-de-sac. So right now, what we were looking at is that originally, if a 6-foot fence was erected, it would be the green outline and would not have needed it would have been permitted as is. Anything else in the yellow area would have to have been prior to a variance right now, prior to construction. Right now, we have an existing structure that is needing a variance. So at the same time as we were trying to figure out how do we not totally impact one neighbor, but at the same time help other neighbors out. So that's the reason why we set number 2 and kind of felt like, well, we're 1,113 feet in. All we're asking for is a give up of 259 square feet, and the remnants is like over 800. So we felt like at least in this case even though we feel like we're taking the backyard, but at the same time as we have other neighbors that have at least sight distance in front of their home. We did have a meeting. The Brinsons reached out to Councilman Pruitt to help out, to kind of facilitate. He came up with another option, which would preserve the sight distance. Yeah, there you go, and preserve the sight distance and maintain the square footage of the Brinsons' backyard, and to where because obviously. I think originally they had over 2,500 square feet in their backyard. That would still need we still need a variance because of, as you see, that 14 foot goes over the actual inside the setback. But it would at least give the Brinsons their full 2,500 square feet, not in the same position. So we're swapping out side yard for backyard. And at the same time that the neighbors behind them, especially Mr. Troy, would have still at sight distance to the actual cul-de-sac.
Okay. I think we got what the HOA has recommended.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to call the homeowner or a representative of the homeowner because we would like your take on this, okay?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
I received all this information and I read it and everything. Did they actually meet?
The question is, did the HOA actually meet with Mr. and Ms. Brunson? Or did Mr. and Ms. Brunson? Did y'all actually meet, or is all this back and forth?
All this written and everything.
If you would, the question is, did y'all actually meet? Yes.
The answer was, the proposal in front of you was brought forward on July the 6th. It came.
Did you actually meet?
Did I meet the Brinsons with this proposal? Is that the question?
Am I saying it right? Did you actually meet together?
Yes, ma'am, we did. On July the 8th. We physically met in the cul-de-sac on July the 8th. And looked at the fence, and we looked at the Brinson's proposal. We looked at the HOA's recommendation. That's the answer. This was brought up, was emailed to the board and the Brinsons, I think, on July the 6th. And it was, Mr. Pruitt said it was not received well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Brown, to answer your question?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Okay, we would like to hear from a representative of the homeowner.
Hello, I'm Miranda Hall. I'm a resident of 9012 Caraway Court, one of the houses located in the area of question there. I want to speak on behalf of all of the homeowners and just say that I don't think that this will be a good compromise to what we're needing to accomplish in our cul-de-sac. I think the original plan or the intention was to open up the site view for Mr. Choi, the family, and just restore the aesthetic view on our cul-de-sac. I mean, bottom line is the current fencing and the way that it's positioned is not proportionate to the size of our cul-de-sac. We have a really small cul-de-sac, and the way that the fence is positioned right now, it is, I can tell you, an eyesore. Before I knew the Brinsons, the way they look or anything, just to see the fencing being constructed there, and we were the first ones on the cul-de-sac, and just to kind of see the fencing and the way it was constructed has been an eyesore. So I would love for us to reach a very compromisable solution that not only benefits the Brinsons, but benefits everyone on the cul-de-sac. And we really worked tirelessly to try to resolve it, but we haven't been able to reach a solution because it seems that the other homeowners want something that's more, I would say, effective than what the Brinsons have proposed so far. And I would say we definitely need to go to a more dramatic cutoff of the fence in order for it to be effective. And I guess because it's been dragging on for months and months and months, we've probably become very, I would say, what do you want to say? Frustrated with the situation that even if you were to do the 30 feet, we wouldn't be upset in that matter.
Okay, let me make sure I understand what you're conveying to us. The Brinson's proposal is not acceptable to the property owner.
Not at all.
Okay. Not that the board will take the HOA's suggested numbers, but is the property owner agreeable to the HOA's proposal?
No. In looking at the visual
He's
markings.
not. Okay, you answered
right,
my question.
It will not open up his site to his
The
door.
property owner is not willing to accept the HOA's offer.
That is
okay?
correct.
Got it. Okay. Okay, got it. Sir, would you like to say something? You're the property owner behind it. You're probably one most directly affected by it.
Yes, sir. I'm the most affected
Speak
by
louder and clearly, please.
I'm the homeowner of 9007 Caraway Court. I'm the most affected homeowner out of a whole cul-de-sac neighbors. And then all those time that we, going through about this fence issue, we never been able to compromise. And then the HOA proposal is not acceptable for not only for me or any other neighbors in my cul-de-sac. And then the Glen Pruitt's proposal had not having our, agreement, or as you saw, all the letters stated that I forwarded to, Ms. Tonya, none of them are not acceptable. So,
Okay, so-
what I'm asking is very simple.
So, what are you willing to accept? Are you wanting us to deny the variances altogether?
Sir, this fence is pretty much a simple violation, right? Why is so hard to keep up the law or regulation? Why is so hard to,
Are you okay with a 6-foot fence?
No, sir. I'm okay with, my first suggestion will be completely taking down the fence. And second, if we need to compromise at this, time, then the permitted area, which is 30 feet from the property line, will be acceptable.
All right, here's my question.
Yes,
There
sir.
are 2 variances here. One has to do with the setback.
Yeah, I'd rather
The other
go
has-
with the setback.
Let me
Oh,
finish
sorry.
my question. The other has to do with the height of the fence, okay? We have to deal with two separate items here, okay? If this board sees fit to grant an approval of a setback at some point here,
Yes, sir.
are you okay with a 6-foot high fence?
No. Am I-
You are not okay with that. In other words, you would want them to go with a 3-foot high fence. Is that correct?
3 feet?
I mean, I've been out there. I've seen this situation. I understand what's going on here, but there are a lot of 6-foot high fences in Breckenridge.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
But not this lot, though.
I understand.
Yeah.
Corner lots are different, but I'm just saying, are you okay with a 6-foot high fence if we work out the setbacks?
No.
Okay. Got you. All right. Anything else?
I think I've covered through the letter and then everything.
Okay. Got it. Any questions?
One
on
more thing. This fence issue is, for their standpoint, is about their privacy and convenience.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. You got to.
All right, this fence issue, right? For Mr. and Mrs. Brinson's, this is their convenience and then privacy matter. But mine It is about like property value, not only for mine, but all my neighbors in my cul-de-sac. It's financial issues. So I just want you to know that.
Okay.
And then we speeding on the road, we get the speeding ticket, right? Why so hard to keep up the law? Why so hard to following the regulation? That's my question for you.
Thank you. Any questions?
I do.
Mr. Hughes?
John, I am somewhat colorblind, and so I want to get a little clarification of this drawing up on the screen.
Look at the drawing I gave you. It's
Okay.
the same thing.
So the little triangle that's under number 1 is what? The Brinsons,
The Brinsons are proposing the little triangle noted as number 1.
number 1.
And
Number
the
2,
setback would be 8 feet 5 inches on the back property line and 10 feet 5 inches on the side property line.
okay. Number 2
The
is what
number 2 is what the HOA has proposed.
And what's the
And
B?
the other yellow and the other area between, no, go back up. Go back up.
Yeah, go back up.
All right.
What is that one?
You see that area that's between, that's yellow and separated between the privacy fence and that purple line?
Yes.
That's the violated area. That's still the violated area.
Okay, so if the fence was on that curved line, that would not be a violation?
That's correct.
I got it.
You got it.
That's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
The only other remaining violation would be that he's still there requesting a 6-foot high fence instead of a 3-foot, which is allowed.
Right.
Okay? That's why I asked him the question about it.
I got it. Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
Everybody got it?
Yep.
Everybody got it? Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Ms. Brinson, you got last say.
Question.
Wait, Nathan.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Mr. Williams?
Oh, well, basically, my question is, you have 2 proposals here. Now, the homeowners and HMO, whatever. To my understanding, that somebody agreed to something on this paper. Somebody agreed to one of these things here. So I know.
Hold on.
So my understanding now, did you agree to it? Another side disagreed with it. Now, are you saying, if either side said, do you want what you agreed with? Another side, they don't want that. Who don't want what you agreed with? That's the homeowner that affecting you, the house itself. That homeowner and the other person got together, to my understanding. So that meant that they got together, the other person who was objecting to this, and they, to my understanding, they agreed with what they had. So who objecting to it?
Mr. Williams?
HMO or who?
Mr. Williams, maybe I think I can answer your question if I understand what your comments are. You've got the Brinsons that have a proposal, you got the HOA a proposal,
Right.
and you got the owner who's not agreeable to any of it. It really boils down to what we are willing to put forth
Yeah.
after taking all 3 into consideration.
Okay.
You have this gentleman over here that keeps raising his hand.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'm going to come back to the Brinson. Well, okay. Before we come back to the, sir, would you like to say something else? If you do, you can come to the mic. I'll take one more comment.
So my name is Joe Hall. I'm at 9012 Caraway Court. That was my
Speak
wife.
clearly into the mic, please.
My name is Joe Hall. I lived at 9012 Caraway Court. First one that moved into cul-de-sac. This is a very unfortunate situation. I mean, it's put a strain on the cul-de-sac, but until when this fence was erected, we all felt that, okay, this was a complete eyesore for the cul-de-sac. It really was. And we didn't know who was moving into the particular home at that time. But it's our understanding that the builder knew well what the stipulations and the regulations were in regards to erecting a fence, and pursued and misled the Brinsons in putting up a fence. And now they're put into a position that they have stood up a fence, bought a beautiful home, but until it affects the value of the area in that cul-de-sac. I honestly feel it for the choice, because you cannot see their home coming into the cul-de-sac. You have to pull into their driveway to see the front of their house, which is complete, utterly, honestly. We all pay a pretty premium for houses out there. They're all custom homes. And we just want to feel like that we're being respected in regards to our homes in that neighborhood. If you look at the entire neighborhood as a whole, there is no other cul-de-sac in that neighborhood that's being erected like it was ours. So I just bring that forth to the board here for you guys to consider that, because it has affected just the value and the look of the community. And we just ask for your feedback in regards to, possibly going with that permitted area and going forth with this. Thank you.
Thank you. Well taken. Thank you. Mr. and Ms. Brinson, would you like to give us your final comment or any kind of further consideration?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to know, let you all know, we've only been in this house 8 months, and we have been fighting this, and not really fighting it. We have been trying to be open. We have called the meetings with the neighbors. We have called the councilmen to try to get us together. We have done Zoom. We have asked for the HOA to come in.
We understand that.
So
we understand
what
that.
I want to say is, these homeowners agreed to the HOA proposal. Initially, they agreed. They all agreed on it. Now, when we went out there to the yard and all of this, now they want to just say, no, we don't want that anymore. When they came up here the first time, they were standing here saying we gave them the perfect proposal and they rejected it. Now they want to reject the proposal because we're saying, okay, we'll go. And the problem with that is because the HOA president told us when we submitted a proposal for them to agree on, I had put some measurements on there. He told me I needed to be specific with the measurements I placed on there. So I did. I got a contractor out there to measure it off and everything, and then I sent it back to them. Well, look at their proposal. Their initial proposal had no measurements. They had no specifics. They just drew a line and some trees, and I guess I'm supposed to know where a part of my lot they were going to cut off, but they had no measurement, no specifics. But now that I put measurements and specifics, they want to reject it.
Well, that's exactly why I asked the the homeowner to come forward and, for the record, to give his approval or disapproval of what the HOA had submitted.
Right.
Okay? So we have to go on that.
Okay.
And I appreciate your comment.
Can I say one thing?
Yes, sir, Mr. Burns.
When we came the first time, they said we wanted to make a compromise. And it seems to me that we tried to make the compromise, and actually, and then when we tried to make the compromise, when they came back and they said they don't want the compromise anymore. So we're not doing a compromise, we're just taking the whole fence down, or because the fence is an eyesore. But like I said, we've been in this house, and my wife has been real upset about the whole thing. I'm to the point where I don't care anymore. But she's really upset about the whole thing, and we've been going through this for 8 months. We didn't even have a chance to even enjoy the house. So I just wanted to say that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Understand. Thank you. Okay. Board members, any other discussion? Okay. With all being said, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I propose that we grant a variance 18.5 feet along the back fence line, whatever variance it takes to get to that as a starting point, and then allow the fence to come to the corner of the house where it is now.
Okay.
A variance to allow that, a variance to the 30 feet to allow a fence from the corner of the house to a point 18.5 feet from the property line on the rear.
Got it. Tanya, you got that? Everybody understand that? Okay, the second part is the height. You okay with the height?
I propose we grant the variance and allow the 6-foot fence.
Okay.
Second.
Have a motion to, let me clarify, the motion is to come over 18 feet, as shown there, come into the corner of the house, and allowing the fence to be 6 foot high. We have a motion from Mr. Howell, a second from Ms. Brown. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Okay?
Mr. Chairman, would you reiterate the fact that if this approval that you just issued is not followed through with, that the fence is in violation and will need to come down?
Yeah, Mr. Howell, give us a time frame on making this adjustment as part of your motion.
Okay.
30 days?
Yeah, I include in my motion, allow 30 days to make this adjustment in the fence.
Is that what you need, James?
Yes, sir, I just need something, if it's not done, we don't lose track of it.
30 days to make that adjustment from today. Right, Mr. Howell?
Right.
And if it's not done, then you'll be in violation of our approval.
Do I second that?
Is it the HOA proposal?
No.
I'm confused.
We just gave you our approval.
Right,
Okay?
but I don't understand where it is.
I can show it, Mr.
It's pretty simple. Come over 18 feet across the back and tie into the back corner of your house.
Does the seconder needs to approve?
No. Oh, yeah. In 30 days. You're second that, Ms. Brown?
Yes.
All in favor of the 30-day time frame, please raise your hand. That's approved. Is that what you need, James?
Yes, sir, Ms. Are you
I'm not
comfortable?
clear, but I just need something written.
I can show you.
Okay?
I don't do well with these maps and stuff.
Yes, ma'am.
The motion was approved, unanimously approved. Okay? Do y'all understand what we just did? HOA, do y'all understand what we just did? We'll move to the second item. Tanya, you got it?
I got it.
Okay. Item number 2 is presented by Flowers and White Engineering, representing Providence Partners, requesting a rear yard variance for a dwelling to be located at 7085 Fame Park Drive in the PUD zoning district. Mr. White?
Thank you, Mr. Stanley. I'm Kenneth White, representing Providence Partners, as Mr. Stanley said. This is a house currently under construction that initially they were going to enter the garage from Fang Park Loop, as shown on your exhibit. And there's an alley to the rear, so they wanted to access the garage in that direction, which they needed to extend the garage to have a little extra depth, and that's what got into the setback of the rear. So we're asking for a 5-foot rear setback to allow the house within 15 foot of the rear property line.
Okay. Any questions, board members? Anyone in the audience care to address this item? Everybody left, Ken.
You entertain a motion?
I'll entertain a motion, Ms. Brown.
I move that we grant the variance for a 5-foot rear yard variance.
Have a motion to move. Have a second.
Second.
Mr. Howell seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand.
Good luck.
Thank you.
got it.
Appreciate it.
Item number 3 has been delayed. Huh? Excuse me. Item number 3 has been withdrawn. We'll hear it probably next meeting under a little bit different circumstances.
Okay.
Right? Item number 4 is presented by Carmen Upton. I don't believe they're here.
They probably are waiting.
Oh, okay.
You got a lot of them standing out here.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about all that.
Okay, what is this about?
All right, number 4. I saw a drawing on it.
You got it?
Yeah. Okay, this is Ms. Upton? Okay, this is presented by Carmen Upton, requesting a separation between structures variance for an existing structure located at 6036 Camelot Court in a PUD district. So it's a 3-foot separation between structures variance. Okay?
Okay.
Pull the mic down, just up it. And you can take your mask off when you're talking.
Oh, thank you. Woo, okay. Yes, we are requesting that. I brought pictures.
I'm going to ask you to speak loudly and clearly into that mic.
Okay. So we have this 7 by 7 foot storage building. The purpose of our storage building is we are a licensed foster home, so we have to keep extra beds, toys, that kind of stuff. If it weren't for that, we would willingly get rid of it. But we have to have those items because we don't ever know what age or gender child will have. So we don't know if we need 3 twin beds or 3 cribs. So we have to keep extras and age-appropriate toys. So that's what's stored in that building. We had it in the center of the yard, and our neighbor complained that our children were throwing things over the fence into her yard. So I tried to think of a good solution. That's why we moved the storage building over there, so they no longer have access to that portion of the fence. They can no longer throw things over that fence into her yard. So it's just about a 11 foot 6 inch fence that borders her yard is all. And so we were trying to come up with a solution to that problem. After we moved it there, it actually was beneficial to us because, do you guys have the pictures that we sent in? I brought some. This is the drawing, but once we moved it there, it was nice because now when I'm standing anywhere in the house where the children have to play, it's a nice open space. And like a lot of people, I'm working from home right now, so we're all home together 24/7. I have to be able to send my children into the backyard to play if I'm having a Zoom meeting for work. So they're safe back there. They play. They're loud. They're children, and of course they did throw things over the fence. That was my attempt at a solution. She never told me she didn't like it there. She just filed a complaint. So I really would like to keep it there because it made our yard much more functional for our family. We have 4 children, 5 and under. I'm working from home right now, and we just need to be able to use that backyard.
So if you maintain the 5-foot separation,
We don't have 5 feet.
but you can put it on the rear property line.
Well, that's where it was, but when we have it there, it takes up the bulk of the center of their play area. So if you look where the patio is, this area is where it would have to go.
We don't have that. We don't.
Y'all don't have that?
Yeah, I'm gonna see that too.
I emailed it to Mr. Center, but this is the patio area. This is our back door. This goes back behind the house. So if they're playing back here, I cannot see them from inside the house. It's not a very functional play area. But if we move it back here to the center of that rear property line, that eats up a whole bunch of their play space where they're easily visible from the house.
Well, then in that event, they're playing behind the structure, correct? You can't see them anyway, right?
Right. If they're back here where we put the storage building, I don't have a visual on them when they're back there, which is when they were throwing things over the fence. So this was an attempt to make our yard functional for our children and also circumvent the problem of them throwing things over the fence.
What is the accessory structure used for?
That it's used to store beds and toys. We're a foster home. So we don't know if we're gonna need 3 cribs and a twin bed, or if we need 3 twin beds at any given time, so we have cribs, twin beds, those kind of things, toys, jumperoos and swings that if we get a call for an infant, we would need to pull out, and they're expensive to have to buy every time we get a new placement.
So it's an existing structure?
No, it's a 7 foot by 7 foot. It was bought for us by my in-laws at Costco.
Is it on skids?
It is on, yes.
It's not on a slab?
It's not on a slab.
Okay.
No.
And so, at one time, was it conforming, or has it always been this close to your house?
No, it was on the back property line at one time.
So you moved it up?
We moved it to try to
You
solve
moved it
that
3 feet?
problem. Yes.
Okay, got it.
And then once it was moved, it just made the functionality of our yard that much better.
Okay. So that's your hardship. You're trying to make your backyard more functional.
Yes.
Got it. Any questions, board members of the petition?
I would like for her to repeat what she said about a foster home.
Explain these are foster children, I assume?
The 5-year-olds are my children, and the younger two are
Talking
foster
to-
children. Yes.
Talking to the mic.
The younger two are fosters.
Okay. Ms. Brown's question was, you wanted to,
She mentioned foster home, and I didn't get.
Yes, we're a licensed foster home.
Okay.
What she was speaking of.
Right.
okay.
But I do have one question.
Sure.
So, just so I understand, this structure was in your yard
Yes.
for a long time
Yes.
in another place
5 years, yes.
for 5 years.
Yes.
And you moved it to make your yard more
We
functional.
moved it, our original purpose in moving it was our neighbor complained that the children were throwing things over the fence. And I can't see them, I don't have visual on them when they're back there. So my solution was to move it back there so they don't have access. They're young, they can't throw things across a 7 foot fence that's 6 foot high. They just don't have that kind of power to throw that far. So I was trying to solve that problem. And then once we moved it there, we noticed how much more functional the backyard was, and I appreciate that I can see them better when they're playing right there while I'm working. So I can be on my computer doing a Zoom meeting and have a visual on them when they're right in front of that back door.
Okay.
And our daycare's I mean, I don't have another option I can't get rid of the children. They're
Okay.
more important.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone in the audience?
And if y'all want to see, there's pictures of the backyard. So this is my view from the back door, and the storage building is back here if you wanted me to pass that to you. So you can get an idea of how big it is.
Okay.
Did y'all want to see that?
I understand what you're saying.
We got it. Okay. Anyone in the audience care to address this item?
Entertain a motion. Oh. Wait, we haven't approved it yet.
This is your opposition.
No, this is the
This is
opposition.
Okay, I thought.
Yes, ma'am. Y'all come on up.
My name is Jenny Botterbush. This is my husband, Ron Botterbush. We reside at 6032 Camelot Court, which is next door and west side of the Carmen and Kevin Upton.
You're going to have to speak louder and more direct into that mic.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's the,
We are here this evening to oppose the Upton's request for a variance of the zoning ordinance for patio garden homes that requires an accessory building to be 5 feet from any other structure on the same lot. We have 4 reasons that we would like you to consider in support of our opposition to the zoning variance requested by Mr. and Mrs. Upton. First, the storage shed is not new. The shed has been located on their property for the past 5 years. However, it was installed on the other side of their yard or east side. 2 months ago, on Sunday, May 17th, the Uptons arbitrarily moved the shed from its original location of 5 years to the fence that separates our front yard from the side of their backyard. The area where they moved the shed on the west side of their yard is not wide enough to accommodate the shed, plus the required 5-foot distance from their house. Additionally, and although we realize deed restrictions do not fall under y'all's jurisdiction of the Board of Adjustment, I would like to make you aware that per the covenants and restrictions for our area, there is a requirement for principal buildings and accessory buildings to be located 7 feet apart. Again, that's just for your information. The Upton's backyard has not changed since acquiring the shed. They can take everything from the west side of their yard and move it to the east side, and they can move everything from the east side to the west side, but it is just rearranging their belongings. The actual yard, as it pertains to privacy and playground, still remains the same. Third, our house and yard sit downhill from their property, so we already receive water runoff from their property as well as their roof. Leaving the shed in the relocated area covers 49 square feet of permeable land right at the property line, which will incur even more water runoff. And did you receive the photos? The first photo is a picture of our yard from Tuesday night. The storm? I thought it was Tuesday night. But as you can see, we have a good bit of water runoff, and additional water runoff is going to be a problem. Last, but of great importance to us, the shed is aesthetically damaging to our property. In short, it is a visual eyesore. Photo number 2 shows the view of the shed as you walk out our front door. The red vertical line on the fence marks the rear corner of the Upton property. To the right of the red line is another person's property. To summarize, we do not believe the Uptons have presented any existing special conditions or circumstances which would make it necessary to move and keep the shed in its present location. If anything, the conditions and circumstances as they exist today are a direct result of their actions which violate the zoning ordinance. We are simply asking for the 5-foot zoning ordinance to be enforced and the shed to be returned to the original location or anywhere on the east side of their yard where it has been housed for the past 5 years, and also where it will be in compliance with the zoning ordinance. The approximate previous location of the shed is shown in graphic number 3. And in closing, we would like to thank the board members for the opportunity to be heard this evening on this important matter. We appreciate your time, consideration. Thank you very much.
I have a question.
Yes, sir?
Why does a 3-foot difference, the location of the shed 3 feet away from the property line, make any difference to water and runoff from that
Well,
lot
there's
onto your lot?
49 square feet underneath it. And so the land underneath that can't absorb any rainwater. And in addition, the roof is going to pour the water off on either side.
Does 3 feet make that much difference?
Well, it's against the zoning ordinance, and it is an eyesore.
Is this your yard where the water is shown standing?
Yes, sir.
Is that the shed behind it?
It is.
So if the shed is moved to the property line, it seemed like it'd do more harm to you than where it is now.
It's on our property. It's on our shared property line. It's on the west side of their property. What we're requesting is that it go back to the original location on the east side.
Okay. Ma'am, you'll be given an opportunity. Okay. Any questions, board members? I have one. Mr. Hughes?
So for 5 years, this was in another location in that yard that was in compliance.
Yes.
And recently, it was just moved right up against the fence, but also up against the house.
Yes.
And there's not a way to move it back because there's a back fence line that keeps it from moving away from the house in compliance.
Right. I think what you're saying is if you move that shed where it's sitting now all the way back to the red line fence, there's not enough room.
I got it. I understand.
Okay. Any other questions? Anyone else in the audience care to address this item? Okay, Ms. Upton, you can wrap it up.
Okay, so the shed is, I don't know building and material names, but it's set up on plastic containers that have about a 4 or 5 inch space for water to flow. That's why it's sitting up as high as it is. The total height of what we have it sitting on is I'm not a construction person. I'm not really good at giving you inches, but maybe 10 inches high with a 5 to 6 inch place for water to get under there and drain properly. It's not just a big solid block that it's sitting on. It's sitting on a sturdy, they're made of hard plastic, and it's about, I wish I had measured it, but might be a picture of it. Yes. This is the shed from our view. So you can see there's a big opening. It's almost like in the shape of a pallet, a wooden pallet, except that it's hard plastic. And so water is able to drain there. The drainage issue is no different than it has been. There's always been drainage issues in our yards. That's not a new problem.
We're not here to deal with drainage. We're here to try to prevent that from happening.
Right.
Okay, except our decisions sometimes do bear on that. Okay. Any other questions, board members?
Yeah, let me ask you this.
Yes.
Did you receive any complaints about how it was situated within those 5 years?
No, I did not.
When did you start receiving a complaint?
I never received a complaint. I got a notice on my door that we were out of compliance. That was the first I knew anybody was upset about it. Like I said, I moved it there because they were complaining about the children throwing things over that fence. So that was just an attempt to stop that problem.
And you couldn't stop the children from throwing over?
Well, I have to work. I'm working full time from home. I don't have daycare or school. I mean, it's just one of those. It would not be as big of an issue if we were living regular life, but I'm having to work, so there are times when I have to send them out into the backyard. And I do have a security system with video cameras back there, but they can't see all the way back there. So I need to be able to utilize our yard because I have to work, my husband has to work, and we have 4 children to take care of. And I just feel like we should be able to utilize our own backyard for that purpose.
Unfortunately, you got tight quarters back there.
We do have tight quarters,
You
yeah.
got a lot of children.
Yeah.
To the
Okay.
complainants.
I beg your pardon?
Yeah, to the people.
Mr. Williams?
My question is to you, is that is your biggest problem is the water, or what is, that's one complaint. I heard some about children. Is the biggest complaint if the water could go another way, divert the water. Is that's what you're most concerned with, is water?
First and foremost, talking to Mike, please.
Ma'am, you're going to have to speak into that mic.
It's an eyesore in our yard. I mean, right there when we walk out the door, you have a picture of it. It's an eyesore in our yard, and we think it damages the aesthetics of our property, first and foremost. But to that end, it's not compliant with the zoning ordinance. And I would like to add one little thing. As far as the children throwing things into the yard, it did not solve the problem. And it's not that big a deal. When I had mentioned it to Mrs. Upton, it was to make her aware that her children were doing that. It's not just our yard, they're throwing in everybody's yard. So it wasn't a big deal, it was just to make her aware of it. And it's still happening.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Is it any way you could come together to try to resolve the situation? Come up with a possible solution so that she can deal with the children and not cause a problem with your residents?
Is there some middle ground?
I don't know. She has complained about so many things that we do.
Ma'am, if you want to speak, you got to come up here, but we're asking the question. This is what we often do, is we try to let the petitioner and anyone who objects to try to settle it amongst themselves before we do it. And if we don't get a motion to approve or disapprove, then you're going to have to go back to where it was.
I think the very simple solution is to move the building back to where it's been sitting for 5 years. It wasn't an issue. I mean, stuff over the fence is not a big deal. I mean, it's just not. The building was there for 5 years. Just move it back there.
Okay, that's your position.
Yeah.
And not a whole lot of wiggle room.
It doesn't even have to be the original position. They have
Yes, ma'am.
a whole area to the east of that.
No. She's got the floor. You'll get the opportunity.
From where you can see on the graphic where it sat, there's a whole area off to the east side of that for them to place it. And they didn't have any complaints where it sat there for 5 years. Thank you.
Ms. Upton, you got last opportunity.
The reason
You're going to have to speak into
Okay.
that. We can't hear
I
you.
would love to be able to work it out with them, but this started a long time ago. She didn't like a tree we had in our yard. That was when I was laying in a hospital trying not to have twins prematurely, and I was told I should have thought about that before I got pregnant. That removing that tree was the most important thing in the world. So much that I was told I should have thought about. I had been out of work for 3 months trying to save my babies, and I was told I should have thought about that before I got pregnant. She doesn't like the type of grass we have. She doesn't like. I don't know how. I just don't know what. When I go about my day-to-day business, I don't think about, should I call my neighbors and ask if it's okay if I get pregnant? Should I call, are they gonna want a tree down when I'm out of work for 3 months? It's just gotten to an almost harassment point. I had out-of-town family over that live out of the country. I have a sister that lives in Africa. She comes home and she calls and threatens to call the city because they're parked in the grass. It was Thanksgiving, there was nowhere to park on the street. Every little thing we do, it almost feels like harassment. We get something. So I would love to be able to come to an agreement, but I feel defeated. I feel like nothing we do is ever going to be okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just one more thing.
Mr. Williams?
I like the idea of what she's doing with the children. We have to be concerned about that too. So I just, like somebody said earlier, I just think it ought to be some way we could work it out if it's war and if they're throwing something, but I'm not comfortable with, if she can move it back even much, if that'll help. If you're willing to move it back and then whatever, but I just don't think it should be left unsolved one way or the other, really. So again, my concern is the kid, it's a program that she's doing a good job, good work on the foster children, foster home, if that's what you're calling it. We have to do something with the kids and with them. The biggest concern is them, not so much the adults, but the children that she's trying to take care and help. And so I give you kudos for that. So other than that, I just hope y'all could work out something if it take moving it back, since it's been there and whatever, just don't leave it undone.
Any further comments? I'll entertain a motion.
I move that the structure be moved back to where it came from.
Have a motion to deny the 3-foot separation. Do I have a second? Which the motion is to move the structure back to where it is compliant with zoning, okay? Which means that she would have to move it back 3 feet. That's the motion. Right, Ms. Brown?
Yes,
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
they didn't have any complaints originally.
You second, Mr. Prince? Have a motion?
Yes.
John, I wanted to be clear on the motion. What was it?
The motion is to deny this request for a 3-foot separation.
Okay, got it.
And for the structure to go back to where it was originally. Okay? Everybody got it? All in favor of the motion, raise your hand. All opposed? Abstain?
Okay.
Did you oppose, Mr. Williams?
No, I just abstained.
Sir?
I just abstained from voting.
Abstain. Okay, the motion or the petition is denied, ma'am. You've got to move it back to where it was. Sorry. Okay, item number 5 is presented by Jonathan Walker. Is he here? Representing Speedway LLC, requesting a variance to ordinance number 33-2017 for a building located at 4000 Eastdale Circle in a B5 zoning district. Board members, I bring to your attention a revised handout here that was provided to us. So if you would refer to it, and in particular refer to the type in red. And give us all a minute and let's take a look at that, okay? Okay. Mr. Walker?
Yes, sir. It's Woker.
Walker?
Yes.
Okay. We know what you want, but go ahead and tell us what your request is.
Yes, sir. My name is Jonathan Woker. My address is 5721 Dragon Way, Suite 300, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45227.
You're going to have to speak louder
Okay.
with the mask on. There you go.
Thank you. Jonathan Woker, 5721 Dragon Way, Suite 300, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45227. I'm a planner representing Speedway. I also have Kimberly Sternad with me. She's a construction manager with Speedway. The request before you tonight is to remove the requirement for 2 street trees that are planted along Atlanta Highway. And I think if you scroll down just a little bit more, that would be perfect right there. And so Speedway built this new convenience store with fuel sales on Atlanta Highway in front of the Eastdale Mall. And it's been open since about mid-April. And there's a ground sign located on the north side of the site, basically at the top of the screen. We have, a little bit higher up at the very top by the parking. Yes, sir, right there. So that is the ground sign. The city tree requirements require planting of trees along our frontage. And we are asking the board to allow us to remove 2 trees. Our operations team believes that those trees will eventually cause a blockage of that sign. We do have a couple of unique situations here. One, we have a private covenant with the mall that limits the size of the sign to a ground sign. So normal city regulations would allow us to have, a 30 or 35 foot tall sign. We don't have that ability because of our covenants. In addition to that, there's an existing drainage easement. Basically, if you're looking at the slide to the right of that, there's a 30-foot drainage easement that prevents us from moving our sign closer to the street. So in essence, our sign is about 65 feet from Atlanta Highway. All that's to say that our operation team feels that the landscape plan will cause a detrimental impact on our operations. And so we've asked for the variance to remove the 2 trees that are highlighted. Basically on either side of the driveway. There's kind of a bubble shown south. Go down, I'm sorry. Yeah, that tree, and then the one on this just below, right there.
So there are 2 trees that are small now.
Yes, sir.
But you're saying eventually will create a site problem.
That's what we believe.
And what kind of trees are they?
I don't know, but I will.
Are they oak trees?
Excuse me?
Are they oak trees?
Oak trees? I'm sorry, I'll tell you what the trees are. They are.
That's not that big a deal. But you're saying they do not block the signs basically now, but you're anticipating that to occur one day.
That's right. I mean, they've been installed today, and they will grow. They're imperial honey locust trees is what they are. I would offer that Speedway is willing to relocate these trees somewhere else on site. And so, perhaps behind the store or another green space on the site. So we're not opposed to trees. We just feel that the tree location is going to have a negative impact on us.
Gotcha. Any question of the petitioner? Anyone care to address this item?
Hi, my name is Ethan Fowler. I'm the City Urban Forestry Coordinator. I'm stepping in for Russell Stringer tonight. He was not able to make it. It is our office's opinion that these trees do not and will never create a site obstruction based on the spacing that they are away from the sign. And they're called canopy trees for a reason. And so once they do grow up to a certain size with proper care from a landscaper, this gas station would be able to prevent any site obstruction from Atlanta Highway. The tree that you see here to the left of the drive I believe, is about 20 to 30 feet away. And from the pictures that I have in my handout, you can clearly see from all directions on Atlanta Highway that there is no obstruction.
So how far are the trees from the monument sign?
I believe it to be about 20 to 30 foot, and the other one would be almost 60 foot to 70 feet.
Really?
The furthest away. I wasn't aware that this was the one that they were asking to remove. I thought it was going to be the two that were closest to the sign itself. In a previous agreement or a question that was raised to us through email, they were asked to move the tree. If you'll scroll up a little bit, please. Just a little bit. There's a tree just to the left of the sign right here that's it. That was asked to be moved to the back of the site here. And we did agree that would be able to meet our spacing requirements because canopy trees are required on 40 to 50 foot centers. And so if that was to be removed, that would still meet the requirement with the trees in the front meeting the trees in the back. And they asked to move it in the back. And my only request was that they keep it about 20 feet away from any of the other trees so you don't create issues with those trees once they get older. I wasn't aware that the tree down here was the one that was in question. Well, that one, yes, but the one below it. That tree was not what I was expecting to be presented tonight. Another point that Russell asked me to make you all aware of was that he asked to have a site visit with the presenter, but he stated to me that was not an option. And so he just wanted to know that you guys to know that a meeting was offered, but something like that was not able to happen at that time.
What's not an option?
The meeting that Russell wanted to have with them at that point, Russell said that was not a meeting. At that point, they could not meet. And so a meeting on site has not happened. I know that you had asked that question earlier, and so I just wanted to address that. We have talked over email and over phone, but a meeting on site has actually not taken place for this so far. So.
Is there a reason?
I did have a conversation with Russell, and he, as mentioned, he was on the property when he talked to me and said he would be willing to meet with the operations folks, and Speedway was not able to arrange that, and their request is clear. I mean, they feel that these trees are going to block their sign and that the trees are going to be detrimental. So I do appreciate the staff communicating with us, but Speedway's decision was to move forward with the request that we presented tonight.
Okay, so on behalf of the Urban Forestry Division, you guys oppose the removal of those two trees?
Yes, sir. To uphold the city's landscape ordinance, as all the other businesses along here that have been developed recently since the landscape ordinance has come in as a city ordinance, we do oppose the removal of these trees. We would agree to to move the one that we had talked about previously, but the two in the front, because of the way that they are on the frontage on Atlanta Highway and the way that the ordinance is read, we do oppose this.
What's the caliber of those two trees?
They are supposed to be 2.5-inch caliper.
Yeah.
That's the
Right now.
that's the
And do
requirement.
you recall what kind they are?
Say that again.
What kind are they?
It was my understanding that they were going to be a crepe myrtle species or a red bud, but I can't remember. What species did you say? Did you say honey locust?
It doesn't appear to be a crepe myrtle from what I'm seeing.
Right. To me, the tree in the picture appears to be a Zelkova.
Zelkova, that's right. It's a village green. Zelkova is the one on the north side of the driveway, and then the tree on the south side is indicated to be an imperial honey locust.
And one thing about a Zelkova tree that I might add is once it does grow up, you can't have the image of an oak tree in your mind when you think of a Zelkova. When they grow up, they're going to grow up more of in a fan shape, kind of, it's not going to have a spread of an oak tree. It's going to grow up this way instead of out like an oak tree. And so it's going to create less of a sight issue in itself.
Well, I'm not saying that this board would approve it years and years out in the future, but sometimes we have had trees that do interfere, eventually do, and we deal with it on a case-by-case basis. Okay? Any questions, board members?
Mr. Stanley?
Yes, sir.
If I heard right, the petitioner said he would agree to move the trees. And since these trees are not a problem right now and they grow slowly, it seems like there would be time for the two parties to get together and see if they could work something out. And, maybe this goes away. So would you be willing to meet and come back later?
If the city staff would support meeting us to find a relocation on site for these two trees, that would be a solution we'd be interested in, which I think would need your approval. If we would be interested in doing that.
Right. From the city side, based on the city ordinance, the two trees on the front are not, in my opinion, and my interpretation of the city of Montgomery landscape ordinance, those trees need to stay in place. Ones on the side that I mentioned to the left, that tree is not on a public street frontage, and that one I would say would be able to be moved while we still meet our spacing requirements.
Well, that's between y'all, because we're not hearing that. We're hearing the two in the front.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Can
And
these
so he
tre-
just said,
You guys
he
need to
said
make a
they're not
decision on the
really
two in the
compromising.
front. That's right.
Okay. Can these trees be trimmed if they do get to be tall enough to interfere with signage?
They can. That's why I made the comment about having the appropriate landscaping maintenance being done on them. It would be my suggestion not to do any severe pruning on them. Like I'm sure most of you are aware of crepe myrtle. Don't just hack the trees off because that's detrimental to the tree. And there's also a stipulation in the landscape ordinance where you have to replace trees and shrubs once they die. So what I'm saying is if you were to advertently kill the tree, then we could come back and send a letter to require that tree to be replaced. So, but to answer your question, yes, the trees can be pruned once they grow taller to be less of a nuisance, but in my opinion, that tree species will be one that will cause less obstruction than an oak tree species would.
Okay.
I can't understand what you're saying about not meeting because your decision has already been made. It is us, the public, that decides what is or isn't something that needs to go in the community. So I would think that we need to carry this over, and you do need to meet with these people. you do need to give them a chance to talk to you about their reasoning for wanting this to be done. You do need to talk with them and let them understand why it is that you don't need to do what they are asking. You do need to give them the opportunity because they are the ones, the taxpayers, who are causing whatever you are doing to exist.
Ms. Brown, James, that opportunity was extended by Mr. Stringer. I had a long conversation with the urban forester about this situation. That was, and as Mr. Worcester, he admitted that Speedway decided not to let this work out.
Or did?
Yes, ma'am. So that limb was offered, no pun intended. And it has been determined, and we are at the threshold, or the board is at a threshold of a dangerous precedence. If something's granted that goes against the ordinance without a proper reason. And I just want to let you know that that's the case. And also, a hand was extended, and Speedway elected not to pursue it. Am I correct, Mr. Wilson?
That's true.
Okay,
Mr. Stringer offered to meet with us, and we did not meet with him.
So we don't have, staff doesn't have enough time to try to roll these dice, again and again. Yes, ma'am.
When there's opposition between the public and the people that we are paying, I strongly resent the fact that you deal with them in that manner.
Yep.
Let's wrap this up. This is not complicated. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name's Kimberly Sternad. I'm the construction project manager, and I originally did email the Urban Forestry Department. Yes, for the first tree, we did request to be relocated, and they did work with us on that one. And our operations folks did ask if the 2 additional trees could be moved. And if I'm not mistaken, I did email the Urban Forestry Department on those 2 additional trees. And he did state, and I believe I may have proposed a couple locations, I don't remember, but he instructed us to request for a variance at that point because we weren't going to be allowed to move them because they didn't meet the zoning requirements. So that's why we're here today requesting a variance to remove the 2 trees.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? You want to comment on that?
I was just going to say, to clear that up, the initial emails were about the tree at the top, and then once we moved on to the other 2 trees, that was when a variance would have to take place. And so that is the process.
You made it clear to them.
That's the process we went through.
Sure. Understand.
Yes.
Okay.
Have nothing further.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
All right. Anyone in the audience care to address this item? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we deny the variance on the grounds that the trees, as they stand now, are not a problem, and if they become a problem, that can be addressed later. Deny the variance.
You're denying you're making a motion to deny the variance,
Yeah.
which would require them to maintain the trees.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Would require them to maintain?
To keep them there.
Oh, okay.
To keep the 2 trees there. Right. That's the motion, to
That's the
deny
motion.
this request.
Second.
Have a motion to deny the request.
Right.
Have a second to that. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed?
Abstain.
She abstains. Okay. Your request is denied. Hey, thank y'all for being here. You got a great site. You'll do well there.
Thank you.
Okay. Item 6 is withdrawn, right, Tanya?
Correct.
Item 7 is presented by John Robert Holland, requesting a special exception for a mobile home for living purposes to be located at 5690 Richard Haddon Drive in a flood zoning district, flood hazard zoning district. Mr. Holland?
Hello.
Hello.
How are y'all today?
Good. Gonna ask you to remove, well, either speak clearly or you have to move that thing down.
Can I do that?
Yeah, that's better, but whatever you want to do.
I've never done this before, so I don't really know what to do.
Okay. You're here to ask to place a 16-foot by 80-foot mobile home on a 17-acre parcel,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
And that's going to be for living purposes only, correct?
Yes, sir.
And let's see, I don't believe there's another structure on that property, correct?
Sir?
There's no other structure on that property,
No,
correct?
sir.
And how far back from the main road are you going to be?
About where the picture is, a little
How many
more-
feet approximately?
Sir?
How many feet
Uh,
approximately?
175, 200 feet, probably, maybe 300. See where that picture is? It's about right there. There's a double wide that's kind of lined up with
So
it.
you'll be at least equal to or behind that existing trailer, correct?
Yes, sir.
You will not be forward of that trailer.
Well, it may be the road.
Whatever
turn-
you'll be at least the same distance as they
Yeah,
are.
from the road.
Is
yes,
that
sir.
okay?
Yes, sir.
Because I don't want you so close out in the front that you're blocking any visibility of them,
Right.
okay?
Yes, sir.
But you'll be at least as far back from Richard Haddon Road as that trailer is.
Yes, sir.
At least that.
Yes, sir.
You got it?
Yes, sir.
Any questions? I'll entertain a motion.
So be it.
Anyone in the audience care to address this item? I'll entertain a motion.
So be it.
Have a motion to approve. Second. For Mr. Prince. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. It's unanimous. Okay, you got that location?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good deal. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Y'all have a great day.
You too. Thank you. Item 8 is presented by Rennie Weinstein, representing Robert Wheel, requesting a height variance and a street side yard setback variance for a security wall for a new building to be located at 3820 Lockwood Lane in a PUD zoning district. Hey, Rennie,
yes.
how you doing? Hadn't seen you here in a while.
Yeah, it's been a little while. Like you said, my name's Rennie Weinstein. I'm the architect for Bobby Wheel on Lot 34. And if I might, I'd like to speak a moment to the motivation for this request. One of the main issues that we had on this site, and it pertains to all of the lots that are in this particular grouping in Lockwood, there's a grade difference of about a little over 6.5 feet from the front of the lot to the back of the lot. And these owners are wanting a house that conforms to handicap accessibility standards, which means the garage slab can only be a ½ inch difference from the house. And so in order to get positive drainage from the garage to the back street, I could only lower the house 3.5 inches on this lot. If I go any lower than that, I don't have enough positive drainage on the garage to the back alley street to keep the rainwater out. And in doing this, it led to the front courtyard wall being a little bit taller than was expected. But part of the elements of this wall are that it acts as a main extension from the house and is part of the architectural element of the house. It helps to soften the massing as you move from the two-story element towards the street and brings it down to a human scale at the point of the entry. It both completes and complements the architecture of the house. It also sits back, as you can see, a good bit from the front building line setback. It was originally intended to be within the building setback, but the first survey that I had from the developers, which was apparently a long time ago, had the setback in a different place. And when we got the updated information from the survey, it was where it is. The integral fencing that goes along Gunster property is also designed to be integral with the house, and it also provides a step-down massing element from the main body of the house as you move towards the street. And at the time I submitted this, did not have a planting landscape plan, but there will be lush, elegant sort of evergreen plantings all along the side and in the front of the property. This sort of integrates and integrates and moves the architecture into the surrounding landscape. This type of courtyard house was chosen for two reasons. One of the first being its appeal stemming from cities like Charleston, New Orleans, Georgetown, and I don't know if y'all are familiar with more recently the construction of Serenbe in Georgia. But this is a very successful part of many historical cities. We also have a good many great examples of courtyard house in Montgomery. And as a matter of fact, the neighbors across Gunster have built a house in the courtyard style exactly like this. The other function of the courtyard house is that it provides much needed security and privacy that the owners are requiring. Having been victims of past crime at a family home, the ability to monitor access to their home was of the utmost importance to my clients. They also live out of state for part of the year, and privacy was also a very big concern, so that it would be able to prevent people from seeing their movements, either being there or not being there. Depending on, what part of the year it is. Also, the across the street neighbor, Theda Tankersley and her husband, they live across the Gunster on the side elevation. They are the ones with the other courtyard house, and they are very supportive of this idea. For one reason, they are also very private and they value their privacy. And having their courtyard on the Gunster side, they were very, very positive about the possibility of having a neighbor who would have some screening and some definition between the two properties. The other issue is they have two very noisy dogs, as I can attest to, and apparently the dogs are easily excited by motion outside of their area, so this type of screening would be appealing to probably other people in the neighborhood as well, for the sake of the dogs who tend to bark at things outside the fence. The three members of the Lockwood Board have signed off and given their approval of this design. That would be Bill Jackson, John Hunter Foshee, and Randy Faulkner. Bill Davis has also given his stamp of approval. He does a lot of the real estate in Lockwood. He doesn't technically have a real say, but he was very positive about it. And as I mentioned, the neighbors were. And I would respectfully ask the board to consider this variance to build what I believe will be a positive addition to the neighborhood.
Thank you. You answered all the questions. I don't have any to ask you. Have any questions? Anyone in the audience care to address this item? I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve.
Second.
Second, Ms. Brown. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand.
Thank y'all very much.
You got it. Lord have mercy. Item number 9 is presented by Jamel Brown, requesting a special exception for an accessory structure without a main dwelling to be located at 2228 Mill Street in an R60D zoning district. Board members, I bring to your attention a package of emails that were copied here on item number 9. You may want to take a second to look at them. They were not in your package, but you now have them. Okay, are you Mr. Brown?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Brown, you want to put a 10 by 16 accessory structure there.
Yes, sir.
And tell us what you intend to store there.
Recently, I started a nonprofit organization here in Montgomery called the Jamel J. Brown Foundation, which is centered around my fight for rebuilding West Montgomery and trying to take different properties and houses that have been left abandoned and been used for crime activities, prostitution, and stuff like that that we see on an everyday basis on the west side. This property, Mr. Chairman and board, that you see have been vacant for over 30 years. I'm 29 years old. I've watched my parents that are deceased. I watched members of the community go out here and cut this 1 acre lot. At times when the residents could not cut the lot, the city of Montgomery, which all of us pay taxes, will put a notice of abatement, and you take 2 or 3 months, Mr. Chairman, for somebody to bid on it, and then they'll go out there and they'll cut it. So on May the 1st, 2020, I decided to adopt this land and go to apply through the state of Alabama to get the tax deed on it. Ever since May the 1st, when me and my team been out there keeping that land clean and good, Mr. Chairman, I got pictures and videos, there have not been one sign of abatement from the city of Montgomery. Nobody else, people just stop. If you look at the Western Hill community, people are dying out. So it was unsafe. It was a public nuisance. Kids that walked from T.S. Mars to go to Gills Village had to cross over on the other side trying to get home because the bushes and trees was this tall. But me, my team, I got some folks got out there. I spent my personal money and stuff like that and money I raised to get it done. So with that being said, we're trying to put that shed building on the property to keep items in there, to continue to manage this property, to continue to keep this property clean. As we speak, I got some people out there cutting the grass as we speak, and I have to pay them. So that's the point. But in future, hopefully we'll build a house there in the future, because that's one of my future goals. But right now, my plan is to put a shed out there.
So do you own the lot, Mr. Brown?
We adopted the lot.
Sir?
We adopted the lot.
You adopted it?
Yes, sir.
What does that mean?
When you go out in certain parts of the city, it's called Adopt a Mile. You go through a program, you can adopt a mile. When you adopt a mile, like on Mobile Highway, that meaning you're taking ownership to keep that particular street clean, that particular road clean. Mr. Chairman, for over 30 years, that property you see behind you have been a nuisance and a hazard to my community and to the kids and to the seniors. They couldn't even walk on that sidewalk. Now, that sidewalk y'all see right there, it's clear. That sidewalk was not like that before May the 1st. It was just, it was a disaster out there. People were using it as a litter field. So we adopted it, and we are going through the process with the state of Alabama Revenue Department to get the tax deeds on it. And I'm not going to get into, that stuff right there, but that's what we're doing at the moment.
Well, I just looked you up, and my app here says it's owned by the state of Alabama.
Right. They own the tax deeds of it.
So when are you going to take title to it?
Say that again, sir?
When are you going to take title to it?
We're in the process.
I understand.
The state revenue, I'm the only one that applied for the property. In order to get tax properties in Montgomery, you're much older than me. I know you, if you in the property business, you will know that the state don't own property. This is what they telling me. They don't own property. They just own the taxes of it. It's air property.
All I know is you don't own it yet.
Yes, sir. We adopted it.
You don't have title to it.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I don't know what, I'm in the real estate business.
Yes,
I don't
sir.
know what adopting a piece of property is. I've never heard that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All I know is you don't have title to it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So even if this board grants you permission, do you have permission from the owner to go put a structure on it?
Say that again, sir.
If this board were to grant permission to put a structure on it, do you have permission to go put a structure on it? My opinion is you probably don't, because you don't have title to it.
When I contact the city, Mr. Chairman, and just in case you haven't been by the west side of Montgomery, I'm gonna let you know something.
On what side of Montgomery?
On the west side of Montgomery, in some of the black communities.
I grew up in Montgomery. I've
You
been
did?
all over this town.
Okay, so let me tell you this, Mr. Chairman. There are individuals on the west side of town, put up sheds and put up things on their property that they actually own, never went to the Board of Adjustments to apply it. I seek counsel. I seek counsel of my pastor and them, and I said, I'm going to go by the right protocol to get this shed put on there. Now, I could have did like the John Doe right there on the corner of Mobile Road and Hughes Street and just open up a social savings club and then come by you all, or then come by the planning, or then come by the city council. But I decided to come and do it the right way. They told me.
I'm not going to get into an argument.
Yes, sir. I'm not getting an argument, but they told me before it can be zoned to you, the lady told me before they can zone it for something, I have to go before you all first. So I can't get that permission until I go through you all first. That's what was told to me. So in order to get that next level, they said go through the Board of Adjustment. And Mr. Stanley, you've been knowing me since I was young. I didn't know that process. I've been out here and helped folks, but I didn't know that process. So that's why I'm here tonight.
We appreciate you being here.
Yes, sir.
Because you're right. Some
Yes, sir.
just go out there and put a shed up, and
Yes.
we have to deal with it. We appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Really do. But we deal with each case on an individual basis.
Yes, sir.
And just because we approve one other place doesn't mean that
Yes,
we'll
sir.
approve it here. Okay?
Yes, sir.
We have to take everything on a case
Yes,
by case
sir.
basis, and we have to respect the other people in the neighborhood.
Yes, sir.
And we will listen to them next.
Yes, sir.
Okay? So we'll get back to you in a moment.
Thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience care to address this item?
Mrs. Stanley,
Yes, ma'am.
did he understand what you said when you said you need ownership?
I think so. I think so. I mean, you know, I mean,
But Mr. Stanley,
wait a minute. Let me talk. We got that. I mean, if he were to go put a shed up and if we approved it, that's between him and the property owner, you know. I just want to make sure he understood that. Okay? Yes, ma'am. How are you doing tonight?
I guess I exist.
You're going to have, ma'am, if you don't mind, pull that mic down.
My name is
Pull that mic down, ma'am. There you go. Thank you.
My name is Geraldine Savage.
And
I
we need your name and your
1,000
home address.
1,000 Hill Street.
You can pull the whole thing down.
We need your name and address, if you will.
Geraldine Savage, 1,000 Hill Street.
Are you for or against?
I am against this, and I have stood here and heard Jamal say some things that I deeply feel is not true. Okay? this lot that he is talking about, it's a very huge lot. In fact, it's 3 lots located in that property. Someone changed the concept, I guess, paying tax. It's 3 sewage outlets to that property.
There's 3 what?
Beg pardon?
There's 3 what?
Sewage outlet. It's 3 lots involved in that property.
Okay.
Someone changed it to one large
Right.
lot.
Years ago, there were probably 3 homes on that lot.
Yes. But some of the things I've heard him say to me is not true. I've known this young man since he grew up. We have been down here together on some issues dealing with Hill, Mill, and Western Hill community. And he grew up in Western Hill. Our people in our community have sent in emails, and they object to a storage or any structure being placed on that property unless it is a house, because this area is a residential section. He knows this. And this lot, as they stated in their emails, is located among 3 historical houses. Probably they are the oldest houses on the west side. They are over 100 and some years old. And he knows that. And the people in Mill and Hill and Western Hill, they object to any structure being placed on that lot unless it's a house dealing with residential. He knows that too. And I hate to say this, but it's the truth, as my girlfriends say. I really don't have any confidence in Mr. Brown because of his demeanor and some of the things that he's saying. I don't know if he can be trusted. I hate to say this, but it's the truth. And like I'm saying, maybe I'm repeating myself, it's a residential section. We want to keep it that way. We change it, break down the barrel. We have a lot of property vacant. Someone else will want to come and put up something. And how would that beautiful lot look? The lot looks good, okay? But I had some pictures to bring for you all to see, but with the virus, you're probably reluctant to touch them. But the state of Alabama owns this lot. They did not keep it cut. These are pictures where that grass grew on that lot taller than me before the state of Alabama cut it. I agree, we had problems with that lot. Snakes, possums, field rats, because the state of Alabama didn't keep the grass cut. And we have a lot of this going on over there on the west side of Montgomery, where the state of Alabama do not keep the lots cut. And it shouldn't be, because we pay tax. And pictures don't lie. Frankly, I have cut that lot. Frankly, I have cut the outside of the lot from the lot property to the street. With a push lawnmower, to keep people from throwing litter out in the street. As a whole, we keep Hill, Mill, and Western Hill clean. Many people don't even know that Western Hill exists over there. They have lovely, expensive homes over there because it's kind of hidden. There's no throughfare, whatever you call it. And it's been there over 50 years. And they have not had any problems. And the people send emails objecting to any structure going on that lot unless it's a house.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome, and you all received our emails. Okay? Because, I'm going to say one more thing, and I'll sit down. He is talking about putting a structure there to store his lawnmower equipment and his lawnmowers. This is the structure that he said that he wants to put there. Frankly, I don't believe him. I think he wants to use it for an office. This is my opinion. I don't believe it. And our community is against it. I rest my case. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. Mr. Brown, I give you the last word, and let's keep it brief.
Mr. Chairman, I am appalled that you sat there and did not rebuke her personal attacks against me. She said some damaging things just a few months ago. Montgomery was on the verge of being set on fire, ladies and gentlemen, and this off the subject. I stood up with some other community activists, with Mr. William Boyd and Karen Jones. We worked with the chief, we worked with the mayor to keep Montgomery from being set on fire during protests, during the George Floyd. I was featured on CNN and everything. I'm a man of integrity, I'm a man of character. All of you great men and this woman right here that helped steer me in a lot of my community activist work know that when I say I'm going to do something, Mr. Chair, and you know me too, when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. We want to put a shed there, and people that I talked to said they like what we're doing since May the 1st, and she admitted the state haven't been taken care of because the state don't do that. They just own the taxes, Ms. Brown. But I'm the only resident that applied, Mr. Hughes, to get tax ownership. Once I get the tax ownership, I still got to get my lawyer to do a quit claim deed. So I got 2 deeds. I can go and get the quit claim deed now. But I still, Mr. Stanley, got to get the property taxes, which the city is trying to work with me. This is off record by being a nonprofit to get it another way. I didn't want to put that out there because this is not what I came for. I came to get a shed put out there, the store equipment out there to manage and upkeep this property. And ever since May the 1st, she just attested to you all. They didn't put an abatement sign out there. And I spent thousands of dollars to keep you guys from having to spend tax dollars for having the city to come out there and clean it up. This stuff we see all the time. So this is a project, Mr. Chairman, that I wanted to do because I love my community. And there's nobody in this town can say Jamel Brown don't love the West Side, because they'll be lying to you. Everything I do, y'all may not like my method of how I do stuff, but just know I mean it from my heart, and I'm up here trying to follow the law. And it hurts my feelings that this individual attacked my character like that when you got folks ain't even obeying y'all rules. They're putting up stuff and putting up business on the West Side and running all type of stuff, but they don't even follow the rules. But Jamel came to follow the rules. And I just asked for a fair chance. And if we run a business, report us, Mr. Chair. They have every right to do that, but this is not to run no business. This is just to put a shade out there, put some light out there so that people can see this property is being used. Don't throw your trash out there. Don't come parking your car out there. We put a yellow tape to keep them from throwing bill bottles and stuff. So that's my case, and I just ask you all, give me a chance. This is my first time coming here. I just ask for a chance to continue to do good work. That's all.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I assume you'll have no plumbing there if we were to grant this.
No plumbing.
And no electricity?
I want to get electricity for the light to be placed on the outside to keep people from trying to break into the shed. That's it. Just a light to keep people from breaking inside. Because if you look at it at night, and I got a video, but due to COVID, I don't know if you want to touch my phone, it's very dark out there at night. So you can park your car. Miss Brown lives near there. She'll tell you, the lot so big, you can park in the back and hide your car. So I don't want nobody trying to break in and tear, but the structure that's been built, it don't come with no plumbing at all. Just electricity to keep light on at night. So I go in and out for security purposes. That's it. But no plumbing, no events, no business, none of that. So whatever y'all heard, I don't know if y'all heard that, is no business going on. Now in the future, if I want to go and build a house like Ken Austin did on Council Street and call it the Jamel J. Brown Grace House, I will come before y'all on that. But right now, I'm not coming to y'all about that. I just want to say it. That's it.
Got it. Okay.
And I'll take full responsibility with the state because I'm waiting on them to send me what the price going to be, but I'm still working with the city to get the property for like $100 on taxes.
Yeah.
But that's off record because that's my personal business.
Any questions, board members?
Yeah, I
Ms.
would
Brown?
ask one question and possibility get somebody to help him. How much did you say it cost to buy the property?
The state told me, Ms. Brown, it was $17,000. But after speaking to several people, they said, number one, it's not worth that. But that's the taxes on it. The state just want me to get the tax deed. You know, like if you stop paying, y'all older than me, y'all know about tax. You stop paying your taxes, they're going to take your, the taxes off of it. But it's air property, but they don't know who those the three folks that stay. Ain't nobody been coming up. She just attests to it. For years, she even been out there cutting it. My daddy, before he died, been out there cutting it because nobody owns it. They gone. They dead.
Mr. Brown, we got it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
All right,
sir.
ma'am, we're going to close it out. It's too much. We got the picture. Okay? Anyone else care to address this item? I'll entertain a motion.
Could we allow him to come back after he gained ownership of it? I don't want to deal with it and he doesn't own it.
Well, you can make this motion subject to him not doing anything until he has clear title. But he would be foolish to go put anything on it until he has title to it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
He's not going to do that.
Yes, sir. And the shed has not even been finished yet.
But it's not our responsibility to make that a condition, okay? Now, if you want to make a motion to approve it, subject to him not starting construction until he has clear title, then we can do that.
Until he has clear title.
Correct. You can do that.
But Mr. Chairman, they're going to take a while because they haven't even, I called them again and they said
I understand what
it's
you're
a
saying.
process.
I understand.
I'm being honest.
I'm answering Ms. Brown's question.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
So,
Yes,
we're
sir.
now dealing with it.
Yes, sir.
And I'll entertain a motion. It's up to us now.
How would I
Yes,
make
sir.
that motion until he has clear title?
Well, you can just say until the property is in his name.
Okay, I move that we grant
Steve?
the variance or special exception for an accessory structure without a main dwelling after he receives titleship,
After he receives title, ownership title.
ownership title.
You okay with that, Steve? Trying to clarify then. James?
Mr. Chairman, do you feel comfortable with the electrical situation?
Do what?
Do you feel comfortable with the electrical situation?
Well, he said he would limit it to one exterior light.
Okay, well, that will require a temporary pole, which will be just that from the building department.
Yeah.
Okay?
It will require what?
A temporary pole?
Yep.
That will require a temporary, which is just that. They put a time period on it. So if it comes, it's not going to be there forever because the building department is not going to give them a temporary pole forever. That's going to precipitate him wanting to get power to the building.
Right.
And that's something I think that the board needs to address.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe, Ms. Brown, you make the motion that no electricity is allowed.
No electricity is allowed.
If that's the case, Mr.
Sir, no.
I withdraw. If y'all gonna do it like that, I withdraw.
We're considering
I'm not backing that.
Please don't interrupt us. Okay? Please don't.
Okay, now how is this going to affect? It means that even when he gets ready to build it, he can't have electricity?
No. If he builds a house there,
Yeah.
He
but
can
we're
only
talking about,
if he
we're
has
talking about
a-
the structure.
the structure
Right.
itself.
Right. Okay?
I can't do anything about that.
You said no electricity?
No electricity.
So Ms. Brown's motion is, I don't have a second yet, our motion is to allow the structure, but no electricity, no plumbing,
Until ownership.
until he has title to the property.
I'll second that.
Are you saying that you are now withdrawing?
Miss
No,
Brown, if
No.
y'all, if
No, wait a minute.
she asked me a question, Mr. Chair, if y'all going to put stipulations out there like that on me, I'm no longer interested in putting nothing out there. I'd rather go and do something else. I won't do that because that's not right. That's not right at all. That's not fair. That's not right. Over 30 years, this property has been abandoned. Over 30 years, this property has been abandoned, and we've been taking care of and been doing the right thing. That's not right. That's not right.
What's your motion? We got a motion on the table and a second. What's your motion, Ms. Brown?
Okay, my motion was without the electricity and plumbing and all of that, be granted special exception for an accessory structure at this address.
Okay? With no power. We have a second.
Second.
Mr. Howell? Is that right?
Yes, I second Ms. Brown's motion.
All in favor of that motion, raise your hand. All opposed? It's denied anyway.
How many are opposed?
Mr. Williams and Mr. Prince, how do you vote? Abstain? Abstain? The motion is
Mr.
denied
Chairman,
anyway.
the motion failed.
Motion
Would
fails.
you not call for a second motion? That motion failed, you don't have to call for, this is clarification for myself.
No, I
Okay.
don't think so.
Okay, sir.
The motion fails.
Okay.
Motion fails.
Right,
You don't
Tanya?
call for a second.
Huh?
You don't have to ask for a second motion.
Yeah.
There's
Does
no
anybody
action.
want to make a second? I'll ask for, does anybody else want to make a second motion? Obviously not. Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Thank you.
Item 10 is presented by Matthews Development, represented by Jim Matthews. Requested a side yard variance for a new dwelling to be located at 7164 Fame Park Drive. Having a good time, Jim?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I've got a house that I've submitted for a building permit with it's a 5 and 0 lot line development, and I've asking for it to be 3 and 3 on the setbacks, because we have a side screen porch on the right side, which would be the zero side. But I built the house to the south, which is contiguous, and it's 3.5 feet from the line. So we're 6.5 feet on the south side. I got a building permit, a plan submitted for a permit that's 5 feet on the house to the north. So we're going to be 8 feet on one side and 6.5 feet on the other. So we'll be in excess of the 5 and 0.
Okay, well, my primary question here is, by being 2 feet off of that side property line, what are you doing with the water that's coming off the house on that side?
I don't know, which side?
Where's the water going? Make sure, you're so close to the property line.
Right.
What you doing with that water? Are you taking it to the front or to the rear?
Yeah, we're taking it to the front.
To the front?
Yeah.
So it's not spilling on your adjacent property owner?
That's right, and that the house adjacent is 5 feet, so I got 8 feet to work with. I'm building both houses, so
Just keep it off your adjacent property owner?
Yes.
Okay, have a motion?
So all we are voting for is the request of 2-foot side yard variance on the north property line.
Right.
I make a motion with that.
Have a motion to approve. Have a second?
Second.
Mr. Howell seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand.
Thank
Got
you.
it. Thank you, Jim.
Have a good evening.
You too. Thank you. I'm looking for the one on Mountain News. Here we go. Item 11, presented by Faith Crusade Montgomery Rescue Mission.
You got this one too?
Yes, ma'am. Representing Vina Browder. Requesting a special exception for a women's group home to be located at 1718 Mountain Meadows Road in a B2 district. How are you, Ms. Browder?
Thank you for your patience.
Thank you for your patience.
Yeah.
Thank you for sitting there. You want to operate a women's group home with up to 12 residents, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And
I did talk with Tanya earlier, and I do have a presentation there for each of you, and I do believe that it will answer a lot of your questions. I'm Buena Browder. I think some of you all know me. And my consultant is Jonathan Thatcher, who is here with me. So between the two of us, we hope to answer any questions that you may have.
You've got plenty of parking on that site for your, have you got plenty of parking to accommodate your residents?
Yes, we do.
It doesn't appear that they're striped in this drawing. Would you stripe those stripe that parking lot?
I didn't understand.
Currently, it is a gravel lot, and no, it is not currently striped. It is currently not striped. It's a gravel lot. Parts of it are.
I would like to see the parking lot striped. If you're going to have parking there, I'm familiar with this structure. And there's very little striping on the parking lot, okay?
No, the only striping is in the lot next door, which is owned by the same organization.
Well, I just want you, I'm suggesting striping around the structure, okay? Yeah. Because if you're going to have 12 residents, they need to know how to park in a regular manner. Okay? What about exterior lighting?
There are currently 3 exterior lights on poles.
On poles. Security lights?
I don't know what this.
They are security lights.
3 security lights.
They have been there in operation since February.
They need to be absolutely operational.
They are working, yes, sir.
Okay.
Now, the one photo that you have was the beginning when we purchased the property, and it'll show you that there was no meters. Since then, we do have our electrical, and you'll see on their second photo, I wanted that second photo to show you that the meters are in, the electricity is there.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, any other Any other questions?
I just want to praise
There
the Lord.
is a listing there, sir, that will show you the supporters that we have from our city council and our county commissioners and other business people and the Vietnam veterans and the American Legion that are in support of us, and they have supported monetarily as well as household.
Well, we appreciate what you're doing.
I thank you
So-
and your father
Pardon?
for all the work that you have done in the community.
With the KT, I do have a little hearing problem. What did she say?
Speaking to Mike.
I thank you and your father for all the work, the good work that you, and your husband,
Yeah.
for all the good work that you've done in the community. And I know that whatever you do it right.
Thank you, KT, and thank you for what you do for your community.
Any other questions?
So, Chairman, may I make just a point? I did contact Alabama Power a while ago. There are 3 lights. One is a 100 HPS, 2 of them are 400 HPS on the building. They're independently charged from the meters. So,
Well, you just want to make, when you have individuals coming and going from a structure like that all times of the day, I understand. We just want to see a lot of lighting. We want to define your parking spaces, okay? By striping that. Any other questions? Ms. Brown, you want to make a motion?
I make the motion. Petitioner permission to operate a women's group home with up to 12 residents, understanding that you're striping the parking lot. There is plenty of exterior lighting and security lights.
Okay. Have a second? Mr. Williams? Any further discussion? All in favor say aye, or raise your hand. It's unanimous. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you're doing.
Good luck.
thank
If
you.
I can
Will we
help
be
you,
able to
let
get a
me know.
copy of that
Well,
motion?
Ma'am,
Will
sir?
we be able to get a copy of the motion?
I'll do approval letter.
Should you-
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Are you Tonya?
Have a
Tonya?
motion to approve the minutes.
The minutes
So
are good.
moved.
So moved. All in favor say aye. Aye. Have a motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.